said that the Spanish Supercup came very early. It was too early to say anything. And if you could perhaps explain the key to the improvements in the Barça team since the Spanish Supercup. Yeah, well, it's a long season. You always have to get over bad times. People talk about the word crisis. Looking back at that time, we just suffered some important defeats for the team. Particularly here, we were conditioned by the poor result here, the unfortunate defeat at home, and then they were the better team in the second leg, but the competition has advanced since then. The team has been getting better and better and achieving the results that have put us top of the league table. This is really just another moment of the season, but of course it is an important game. So we want to make the most of the good form and play a good game tomorrow. Of course, we're going to go there to try to win, but we know how difficult it is because they're such a good team in their own stadium. But we have to play the game, so let's see what happens. Asking about possession of the ball, how important that could be tomorrow. Ball possession doesn't necessarily win you the game. It can do. It's really a question of getting as many goal-scoring chances as you can. Some teams don't dominate the possession, but they'll have 10 chances to score. Possession is one of the many means to creating chances. Some teams develop that aspect more, which is our case, but other teams have different approaches. It could be an important factor. Possession's important, but the ultimate purpose is to get to the opponent's goal and create chances. That's what really matters. Madrid are also a team that are very strong on the counter-attack. They play possession football too, but they're very good on the counter-attack. That's one of their strong points. Could go 14 points clear, although Madrid will have a game. No, certainly not. We don't really talk about consequences of games until the game is over. There's no point talking about what would happen if we win, if we draw, or if we lose until the game has been played. Whatever happens tomorrow, the teams have still got a long road ahead and there's a lot that still has to be decided.
Hola Ernesto, Adrián Betts de la cadena SER. Esta semana hemos visto como el Atlético de Madrid acudía a la FIFA para...
Talking about Atletico Madrid presenting an accusation to FIFA regarding Griezmann. Are you surprised by Atletico's attitude? Our club always operates within the realms of legality, so there's nothing else for me to comment on that matter.
Ernesto, ¿cómo te condiciona de cara al partido de mañana el hecho de que el Madrid pueda reforzar las bandas y jugar, por ejemplo, con tres arriba?
Talk about Real Madrid maybe playing, strengthening their wide play, the presence possibly of Gareth Bale, and whether that might condition your own selection for tomorrow. No, picking my 11, no. But certain details during the game, yeah, whether Isco plays, whether Asensio or Bale plays, yeah, that will adjust certain details of the way I plan the game. But it really doesn't matter which players are on the pitch because both Madrid and ourselves have got our own certain style. Of course, each player has their own characteristics, but it's the team style that's what's really important, and that's not going to change. 24 games unbeaten. So do you think you're perhaps more favourites than Madrid tomorrow? No, I don't think so. In these games, perhaps the league table is the least important factor. They're very special games where the gap between the teams isn't really that important. It's the tension that goes into this game. They've got home advantage. That's very important. So no, I wouldn't say we're favourites, no.
Carlos? Sí, buenas.
Mister, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes, Carlas de Radio Marca. En los últimos años, sí que es cierto que tú no has estado aquí, pero sí que es cierto que seguramente has seguido los clásicos.
You've not been here in recent years, but I'm sure you've been watching how Barca seems to have done better at the Bernabeu than at the Camp Nou against Real Madrid. Perhaps have Barca lost their traditional respect for the Bernabeu? Those are statistics that I'm sure there's something in them when you analyse these things over time, but specifically focusing on tomorrow's game, yeah, that's a nice statistic to throw around, but that doesn't have anything to do with what's going to happen tomorrow. And you never know with stats. I mean, we like stats will continue, but stats are also there to be broken. So we know how difficult it is to go and play at the Bernabeu. But really, we're not thinking about these statistics. We're just focusing on preparing for tomorrow's game. Where can Barca not get things wrong tomorrow? We know that you can't let your guard down for the tiniest little thing because there are such extraordinary players on both teams. Any isolated incident or player can tip the game for or against your favour. We need to try to get the details to tip the balance towards us. We need to generate the kind of statistics where we're getting more chances, for example. That gives us a greater chance to win the game. But sometimes people play around with statistics and then when it comes to the game, they prove to be irrelevant. We really need to deal with their pressure. The deep pressure really hurt us in the Supercup, so we really need to deal with that pressure.
Hola Ernesto, Gemma Soler, ESPN. Para la preparación de este partido, ¿has vuelto a visionar los dos encuentros de Supercup?
Have you looked back at the Supercup games on video? Yes, I have. Of course. They're very useful to look at what they're going to do, but also to think about what we might do because of how that game panned out and how we can change things. You always prepare games by looking at what Real Madrid the same as watching what they did directly against us. They've got a very special way of playing, so obviously, yes, we've analysed the videos. Piqué going back to the Bernabeu, perhaps it's hostile territory for him. Or do you think he's especially motivated? No, normal, fine. And laid back, he's calm, the same as me.
Bernat Aguilar del Nacional.cat. Després que ahir guanyés no va haver-ne les eleccions a la majoria independentista.
Talking about the independents getting the majority in the elections yesterday, and whether that might affect the ambience in the Bernabeu tomorrow. It's a long time since you asked me a question about politics, but no, I think it's going to be the same atmosphere as ever. We went to Atletico Madrid. I think that was very close to the 1st of October. Was it before or after? I don't remember, but people spoke a lot about the reception we were going to get, and I think that was one of the nicest atmospheres I've ever played in for a football game. There was a really good feeling between us and the fans. I think tomorrow is going to be the same. At the Bernabeu, obviously, the fans are going to support their team. That's logical, but I don't think that other factors are going to change anything particularly.
También en los últimos días ha habido un gran revuelo porque, bueno, desde algunos medios de comunicación como se exigía que el Barcelona le hiciese el pasillo al Real Madrid.
The media have been talking about the guard of honor and that Barca should give a guard of honor to welcome Madrid onto the pitch. Would you have done one for Real Madrid? This is something that years ago you used to do, this sort of symbolic way of welcoming players onto the pitch, or a player who'd won a particular award, and it wasn't surrounded by all this media hoo-ha like there is today. But yeah, we have to respect what Real Madrid have done this year. As for the guard of honor, I don't think I ever did that as a player, and I never expected people to do that for me either. I think it's that tradition's kind of been lost a bit in Spanish football. Talking about going to the Bernabeu after that great game against Deportivo, Messi, Iniesta, Suarez, they're all in such good form. Does that give you a reason to be more optimistic? Well, yeah, of course, we're looking forward to this game tomorrow because we know it's great for us to perhaps make up for what happened in the Supercup. It's also a chance to measure ourselves up against a direct rival. We're going into this in good form, but they've hit some good form as well, so it's going to be an interesting game. How much connection is there between the elections happening and the squad? No, none really. Obviously, every player is free to have their own opinion, like anybody in this room. But if there's any real connection, no, I don't think so. Look, we're just a football team. We go out there and we have different ideas, but we go out on the pitch and play football, and we're happy playing together. It doesn't make any difference how people might have voted or not. We're just out to play football.
Buenas tardes, mister. Rafael Oliverso, Tutto Sport. Acaba de decir que también si gana el Barça sería un golpe definitivo.
You said that if Barca win, it wouldn't be a masterstroke that's going to win the league. But stats show that when teams win the first leg of the clasico, often when it's much tighter, that team tends to go on to win the league title. Look, we haven't won yet tomorrow. Atletico Madrid are just 6 points behind us. If we don't win and they do win, the difference would be cut to 3. And as you also said, there are always exceptions. So this could be an exception. We just need to take things game by game, treat tomorrow's game like any other game, as if it was the last game of the season. Make sure we get the 3 points, because nothing's written in stone until the season is over. But yeah, that's an interesting statistic that you just quoted there. That perhaps gives us an idea of what might happen, but it's only an idea. We, the players, we only think about absolute realities. What kind of game do you expect tomorrow? What kind of approach do you think Real Madrid will take to the game? I suppose they'll try to make the most of home advantage. They'll try to put pressure on us, make the most of their virtues.
Cuando mejor estás, cuando mejor parece que estás, es cuando están a punto de darte un golpe.
Sometimes the better you're doing is when you can get hit, because they've got such a rapid transition into attack, such a strong counter-attack, a team with lots of virtues. The combination plays that they have. I'm sure they'll try to put us under a lot of early pressure to try to establish territory on the field. Do you think the pressure might get more to Madrid than to Barca because of the points difference? No. We're both under pressure for this game. Pressure, I mean, because of what this game means. The fact that they're a lot further behind and they really have to win this. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that's a decisive factor. I think there's enough things surrounding this game for both teams to be under a lot of pressure. You talk about how seasons can change. But would you have believed that you'd be going to the Bernabeu with an 11-point lead? Yeah, well, it's always best to think that things are going to go well. I never sat and thought how many points ahead we would be when we go to the Bernabeu. But, hey, I've got that now, so, yeah, I mean, it's great.
Can I ask you one in English? Okay. Guillem Balaguer, Sky Sports. Very easy. Where do you think the clasico will be won or lost?
Mira, la sensación que tengo del partido anterior, del partido que jugamos.
Looking at the Supercup games, we lost that in the first half. They got straight into the game, and we couldn't cope with the rapid rate that they went into the game. We made some errors, which was their merit because they forced us into making those errors. So I think we really need to get off to a good start. We need to gradually impose our rhythm on the game. We really need to go out trying to win the game from the start. I think that's perhaps something I'm really looking at for this game, but where the game's actually going to be won or lost, I don't know. But that's a little comment I wanted to throw out there for you.
Quería preguntarte qué factor puede ser mañana decisivo al margen de los que hemos comentado en las porterías. Qué importante.
Asking about the goalkeepers tomorrow, Keylor and Ter Stegen. The goalkeepers are very important, of course. Them are having a good season. Ours is always the best. They're both going to have to bring out their very best tomorrow because of the arsenal in the front lines of both teams. Both they and us have decisive players in attack. So we really need to have the goalkeepers on full confidence. I think that's going to be a fundamental factor tomorrow. Hopefully our goalkeeper is going to have less work to do.
Andrés Corpas del diario El Mundo. Me gustaría preguntarle por su primer encuentro con Andrés Iniesta como capitán del equipo.
Ask him about when he first met Andrés Iniesta and what he's learned from him. Nice question. And happy Christmas. Andrés is a very special, different player. He's a lot more relaxed about games than I am. He's a safety mechanism for us. And also he plays an important role in the dressing room. And also his connection with the fans and opposing fans as well. I mean, he's a safety man. Let's admit he's closer to retirement than his early days. He's been playing at the top level for a long, long time. But he generates respect and fear in opposing teams.
Bona tarda, Ernesto. Eduard Gangoso, de fcbarcelona.cat. Abans has comentat que t'ha servit a l'hora de preparar el clàssic als partits de la Supercopa, els has visualitzat.
You admitted that you've been looking at videos of these Supercup games. Have you looked at other games at the Bernabeu, including the game, the 3-2 win last season? Yes, of course I have, yes. I was commenting the references of games when Madrid play Betis or Malaga, Sevilla. They're useful for certain things, for detecting certain patterns in the way they play. But it's when they play against us, that's when we can really get an idea of how they play, when they have our players against them. So yeah, of course, it's a reference, and we've analysed last season's game, of course, naturally. What's changed to the Barca team since the Super Cup? Time has passed. It's the same players, it's the same manager, but we've been progressing, correcting errors, improving certain questions. We've dealt with the difficulties that have come up as the season's progressed. I think we're a bit better now, but there's still a long way to go. Okay, this is a Greek reporter sending greetings from Greece. Again, asking about the Super Cup. Perhaps aside from them, is this the most special game of your career until now? The most special game is always the next game, because that's the one that you're preparing for. Yeah, it's an important game, but there have been a lot of important games, fortunately, in the past for me. But yeah, tomorrow, yeah, it is. Because of the resonance of the game, because of all the world media and what it means to our fans, it is a very important game. But is it the most important ever? I don't know. I'd rather not answer. Cristiano Ronaldo's trained today, but it's the only time he's trained this week. There's news filtering out of Madrid that he might not be fully fit. Do you believe that, or do you expect him to be there? Yeah, I'm sure he'll be there. It's an important game. He's an important player. We think he's going to be there because of how important he is to Madrid. Okay, we've got two more questions.
Hola, ¿qué tal, Ernesto? Xavi Riera de 3 Media. Repasando los datos de asistencia en el Camp Nou.
Looking at assist stats,
Se ve que ha bajado bastante.
apparently attendance. That the attendance at the Camp Nou has been a bit lower this year. Some say it's because of the football. Some say it's because of the political situation. I couldn't tell you because it's the first I've heard about that. I've not been informed of the attendance figures at the Camp Nou, but I think a lot of people are coming. People like to come here and watch their team winning. Happy Christmas.
Cuando prepara un partido así, siendo todo muy importante, ¿qué es lo más importante?
What's the most important part of your preparation for a game like this? How the other team plays, how you're going to play, deciding what your starting 11 will be?
Lo más importante es lo que nosotros nos fijamos, o yo por lo menos me fijo siempre es en lo nuestro.
I normally focus on us and what we are going to do, what we are doing well, what we need to improve. But sometimes there's so many lights around this game that you're blinded and you can't see into the distance. And in the distance, what we have is a football game. 11 people against 11 people. We need to look at the strengths and the weaknesses of the opposition and our own strengths and weaknesses, how we can deal with those weaknesses, and then try to focus exclusively on ourselves. And then the starting 11, well, it's a consequence of all those factors. you base that around what you think is going to happen. Okay, thank you very much. Don't forget, the team will be leaving at a...
La premsa de l'entrenador del Barça, Ernesto Valverde, que hem pogut seguir en directe aquí a Barça TV. I, vaja, lògicament, moltes preguntes, moltes respostes interessants, les de l'entrenador del futbol.